Again, good morning, and thank you once again for joining us this Wednesday morning. Mark Contra here with the Messer Financial Group. Once again, this morning we'll have the opportunity to review information from one of our carriers, giving you as agents the opportunity with confidence to go forward and bring forth the products. And I think, again, this morning you're going to find that there's some great benefits here to be presented. Just a couple of housekeeping items. First and foremost, make sure your phone is muted just in case something should slip through. We're going to hold all the questions until the end, so just go ahead and use that box on the right-hand column to type in any questions as you have as we go through the presentation. Oftentimes, some of those questions come up and then they get answered as we complete that information. Also, please stay with us until the very end, where we'll have an opportunity to both review the information provided as well as to announce the bonus that will be specific to the profits, to the production on this particular product. Anyway, with that in mind, as we go forward, I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Bob Long. And Bob is one of our partners over at the Benchmark Insurance Group. With all that good stuff, good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Mark. Thank you, and I appreciate you rallying the troops to join us this morning, and I do appreciate everyone being here because I know it is a sacrifice that you have made. There are lots of things that you can be doing that you need to do. My objective is to make this next 45 minutes or so to be worthwhile. I know that when we're doing business, obviously we want to help and assist people. And the bottom line is we need to be paid for what we do. I'm going to talk to you today about American National Insurance Company. Sometimes I'll call it Anico as the acronym. But I want to make you feel comfortable with Anico because of some of the superior things that it does, so that it just might be one of the top 2 or 3 of the companies that you go back to because of the things that they have that compete very well in the insurance market. So we're going to talk today about some of their products. We don't have time to go over the full portfolio, but I'm going to spend the time on the most important products and other items that they have that I feel should make Anico one of your top 1, 2, or 3 companies. So let's get with it. And if you would, I would appreciate taking notes. If you've got a notepad and a pen, obviously this recording will be, this presentation will be recorded so you can go back and review. But there's some things that I'd like for you to take down, and I'll emphasize those things as we go through the presentation. First of all, you might want to know why and who Anico is. American National has some very, very good ratings. It has some outstanding products that your clientele will want. It has the top accelerated benefit riders. No one tops the riders that they have. We'll go into that. We'll talk about another key thing is their non-med underwriting. And I'll say this up front. That doesn't mean open the gates for all of your prospects that have various and sundry issues as far as their health history goes. It just means they do full underwriting, but they do it very quickly, and they do it without a paramedical exam and without an APS, and we'll talk some more about that. So there is a quick turnaround, and you're going to be looking at some products that are extremely competitive, so that when you do business with someone, you don't have to worry about looking over your shoulder to see if another agent's going to come in and do better, because in most cases they cannot. And we'll talk about where their most competitive clientele areas are. Now, also, American National will provide you with superior marketing support, just as the Messer Group does, as you well know. I will say this, as just a little qualification. I sell insurance just like you do. I meet people where the rubber meets the road. I'm not someone in an ivory tower that says this should work and that should work. I have a feel after my 37 years in this business, I know a little bit about dealing with the public, their thoughts, their desires, their fears, and their uniqueness in every family and every individual that you work with, and how to meet them at their level. So I'll throw in some comments from time to time. And again, I do work with lots of companies, and American National is one of my top companies. And here's why. Number one, they're rated A, which is excellent, by AM Best, which I consider the most prominent of the rating services. They're also rated B plus by Weiss, which is, you got to do pretty well to get a B plus with Weiss. The overall Comdex rating of 85 is pretty darn high. It's an average of all of the different rating services that rate American National. So you're dealing with a very good company. We're going to talk about, for the next 35 or 40 minutes, about the life products that are on the left side of the screen. American National does have annuities that are very competitive, very unique. They also deal with pensions. That maybe another time we'll get into that, where you can actually sell pensions, work with your business owners without having to have a securities license. Yes, that is correct. You can sell pensions in which there are variable products that you do not have to have a securities license to sell. We can talk about that in another session when we have more time. But we're going to talk today about the Signature Guaranteed Universal Life product. We're going to talk about the term portfolio. We're going to spend just a little bit of time on the brand new indexed ULs that American National offers. We'll mention that they do have a competitive whole life product. And the main thing at the bottom, we're going to talk about this simplified issue as we go through, which can be a huge factor for many reasons. The accelerated underwriting, again, as I said earlier, it doesn't mean they're going to go light on people that have some substantial health histories. What it means is that they do full underwriting. Now we're talking about policies up through $250,000. They'll do what we call express underwriting. They will look at the information on the application. They'll look at the Medical Information Bureau. They'll consult the Department of Motor Vehicles. They'll consult Social Security to see if this person may be on disability, Social Security. And they will check, they'll do a script check to make sure that the drugs that are listed are all the drugs that that person is taking. So they'll do full underwriting, but they do it very quickly. What does this mean? It means that you get that policy back much quicker than other companies that take 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 weeks. It means for your client a less invasive process, meaning that they don't have to have a blood draw. They don't have to knock out the time to meet with a nurse in their home or wherever for the height, the weight, ask all the questions, provide a urine specimen and a blood specimen. Much less invasive. That means that your prospect is going to begin to like you a whole lot more when you talk about this express underwriting. And I know it's not important, but you do get paid a whole lot quicker. The Underwriting Express applies to policies that are up to $250,000. And by the way, and I'll say this again later, this is one of very, very few companies that offer accelerated benefit riders on both their permanent products and their term portfolio. So ages are 18 to 65 for the Underwriting Express. 75% of the applications received on electronic applications are approved within 3 days. Whether you like it or not, whether you're a millennial or a baby boomer or somewhere in between, the wave of the future is electronic applications. That's just the way it is. But if you use e-apps one or two or three times, you'll probably wonder, why in the world did I mess with those 20, 30, 40, 50 pages of a paper application? Because the e-apps are so much better. 75% are returned in 3 days, or approved in 3 days. If you do stick with or need to use the paper application, 93% are approved in 5 days. Pretty darned impressive, okay? Now, the pricing on these policies is going to be very competitive. You'll see later what I'm talking about. Very competitive. The pricing on $250,000 face and below is going to be priced a little better than standard. It would be priced somewhere between standard, and some companies have a standard plus. That's what makes them very competitive. Nicotine can only be priced at standard tobacco user, and a non-tobacco user is going to be standard non-tobacco, but their rates are going to be very competitive. Now, let me mention this, to be honest and fair. If you have a client that is 18 to 65 and you feel like has a good chance at being preferred or preferred plus, then you probably don't want to apply with for American National. You might want to look at someone like North American or AIG or many other companies that you're familiar with, because that is turned around in such a short period of time is really not fair, because you can get them a better rate if they are preferred or preferred plus. So that's part of the field underwriting that you should be aware of, or will be aware as you gain more experience in your life insurance marketing career. Okay. The Signature Guaranteed UL, which has a guaranteed cash out rider, and there are only 3 or 4 companies out there that have a cash out rider. And we'll talk about that, because things change over a 15, 20, 25-year period of time, and that insurance may not be needed anymore, or there may be other circumstances that would mean that that policy is no longer valuable, and you can get back some or all of the money that you paid in. Nobody does it better than American National. When we get to the cash out rider, you'll see why. When we talk about a guaranteed UL, we're talking about a guaranteed level premium. We're talking about a guaranteed death benefit. With the Signature GUL provided by Anico, we have a guaranteed death benefit. We have access to cash with the guaranteed cash out rider, which is built in at no additional cost. And you have the best benefits that you'll find in terms of living benefits, accelerated benefit riders that you can find in the industry. That's quite a combination. That's hard to beat because of what it offers, and it's also going to be extremely competitively priced. The GUL has the flexibility to customize the length of the guarantee. Very flexible. Some people, when you say, well, this policy will cover you to age 121, you know what they'll say. I'm not going to live that long. That's a joke. I won't be around then. Why would anybody want to live that long? Understood. You may want to look at someone, when you talk with them, they say, well, my family history is such that we don't live very long. So they may not want to pay the price for 121 guarantee. They may want to look at 95 or 100 or 105 and be priced accordingly. So once you select the amount of your coverage that your client needs, then you can dial up how many years they want to have that guarantee to go. Or you've got the option for the cash out if needs change. You also can accelerate the death benefit if a health condition causes a financial strain. All of those options are there. We don't know now what will happen 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road, but wouldn't it be nice to know that you've got that parachute just in case you need it? Here's kind of a graphic of how the face amount and duration of coverage can be handled when you run an illustration, or one of the fine folks at Messer runs the illustration for you. You determine how long someone wants to be guaranteed to be covered. You determine what the death benefit is going to be, and then your software is going to provide on the illustration exactly what that premium will be. As long as the premiums are paid on schedule and there are no policy loans or partial withdrawals, the death benefit will be there as long as they ask for it to be, and the premium will never increase. Those are sweet words to a lot of people that have been burned, that had policies that began back in the 80s or 90s or even early 2000s that were interest sensitive without the guarantee, and now those policies almost without exception are blowing up because of the increased insurance cost as we get older and the lack of interest paid on the cash values that never did materialize as they were projected when the interest rates were 12, 11, 10, 8% back in the 80s and 90s. So here's kind of a little dialable guarantee graph. Obviously, someone who wants a guarantee to go to a lesser age, the premium is going to be lower and going to be higher if you take it all the way out. Now, the cash out rider, which is really sweet, and this is something that's is kind of a peace of mind kind of thing for your client. If things change, and there may be so many things that would happen with the family, with their business, with the economy, with their job, just so many things that you can't even enumerate. Things can happen. So on the 15th, the 20th, and the 25th policy anniversaries, this rider provides the option to surrender the policy and receive a partial or full return of all the premiums that were paid. Now, there are some stipulations. It'll depend on when that money is returned, whether it's after 15, 20, or 25 years, and it'll be a percentage of the amount paid, with a cap being a percentage of the death benefit. And I'll show you what that means. On the left, as you see here, for death benefits between $25,000 and $250,000, remember, $25,000 is the minimum death benefit. That's pretty sweet because you're going to be working with a lot of people. Some of them may be older. They're looking for maybe a final expense policy. You can sell this UL policy, this guaranteed UL policy, for $25,000, which will be less than or equal to a premium for a whole life policy at $10,000. And it'll have the accelerated benefit riders, and it will have the cash out benefit. So if someone decides they don't need the policy anymore after 15 years, they'll get back the lower of half of the premiums they've paid by that point, or 45% of the death benefit, whichever of those two is lower. If they keep the policy to the 20th year, they'll get back all premiums paid up to 45% of the death benefit. And the same is true in the 25th year. Now, for policies that are over $250,000, which would be fully underwritten with a paramedical exam, with the APS, the percentage jumps up. In the 15th year, they'll get back the lower of 65% of total premiums paid, or 65% of the death benefit, whichever's lower. If they keep it to the 20th or 25th year, at those occasions, they'll get back 100% of the premium paid, or 65% of the death benefit, whichever is lower. So here's an example. Here's John. It was a 65-year-old non-smoker when the policy is issued for $500,000, and he decided he wanted the guarantee to be to age 105. So here's what he would expect to receive if he decides to bail out of that policy. It's an excellent exit strategy. If he decides to cash in his policy in the 15th year, he would have paid in a little over $202,000. Now, since this policy is greater than $250,000, he'll get back either 65% of the premium he's paid, which is $131,630, or 65% of the death benefit, which is $325,000. He gets the lower of those two, so obviously he would walk away with $131,000. Oh, and of course, there'll be no taxation because that's just a return of pre-taxed premiums that he has already paid. All right, so let's say that John keeps that policy for 20 years. Things change. He no longer needs it. He's paid in $270,000 of premiums. He'll either get back 100% of that or 65% of the death benefit, which is $325,000. He'll get the lower of the two. He'll walk away with all of the premiums that he paid into that policy for the coverage for 20 years that he had just in case, but that just in case never happened. He no longer needs the policy. He walks away with every premium dollar that he's paid. Pretty sweet. He may never need to do that, but this is nice to know when you're talking with a client or a prospect who you hope will be a client in terms of an exit strategy. Okay, let's look at year 25. Now he's paid in $337,000. He'll either get back all of that or 65% of the death benefit. Well, if you look at the two, whichever's the lower, if you look at the two, 65% of the $500,000 is $325,000. So he won't walk away with all of the premium he's paid, but he will walk away with $325,000 non-taxable because he no longer needs the policy and he gets almost all of his money back. Pretty sweet. When your prospect sees some of these benefits, the non-medical underwriting, the less invasive underwriting, the very competitive price on the policy, the best accelerated benefit writers in the business, and the opportunity, just in case something happens and that policy is no longer needed, this guaranteed return of cash rider. No one is better in the industry. Okay, are you beginning to get a little bit excited about American National if you weren't aware of them before? You're beginning to see some of the reasons why this is among the number 1 or 2 companies that most agents are aware of to do business with. There are some more good things. As a matter of fact, I've mentioned earlier that the accelerated benefit rider, sometimes we refer to as the living benefits, because you actually can use the death benefit before you die if certain things happen. These living benefits, someone can choose to take part of or all of the amount to which they are entitled when a claim is made. The maximum amount for those that are under age 65 when the policy is issued, they can receive, depending on the size of the death benefit, obviously, up to $2 million of benefits. If they're 65 or older, they can receive $1 million of living benefits if the policy obviously is $1 million or higher. All of the three accelerated benefit riders, including the critical illness, are offered by Anico. The terminal illness rider in almost all states is 24 months. So if an insured receives a statement from a doctor that they have 24 months or less to live, they're going to be eligible for the terminal illness accelerated benefit. If there is a critical illness And there are 16 different illnesses. I know of no company that offers more different illnesses on their critical illness accelerated benefit rider. We'll look at those in just a minute. But if they qualify through a critical illness, they'll be able to get a percentage of the death benefit based on their age and the severity, the size of the policy. There are several factors that determine how much they can receive under the critical illness accelerated benefit rider. We'll talk about that in more detail in just a minute. And then the third rider, which may be the one that carries the most weight, is the chronic illness, because if they qualify based on being unable to perform 2 or more of the 6 activities of daily living, or have a severe cognitive impairment, this is a way for someone to have that safety net just in case they need assistance as they get older and more infirm, because most people are having a hard time affording a standalone, traditional, long-term care policy now. This is a way to build it into something they already have. And by the way, these ABRs, there's no additional cost to have that in these policies offered by American National. This is something that, for those of you that have been working with companies and policies that have ABRs, it adds another dimension for the reason for someone to need life insurance, or in most cases, more life insurance, or in some cases, a replacement of an older policy for a better model. When I talk to people that have older policies, they might have one that was issued in 92 or 97. I'm asking them if they're still driving a car that's a 92 or 97 model, because things are better. Today, as insurance agents, we have more tools, we have more options, we have more flexibility than ever in the insurance industry. Okay, these policies are an example of that. Okay. Specifications on the ABRs. The first of all, the policy, the signature GUL, is issued 18 to age 80. They do use nearest age, like most companies. For non-tobacco users, up to age 80. For tobacco users, nicotine users, through age 75. Minimum face is $25,000. You get all these benefits, the ABRs, if it's $25,000 or if it's $25 million. You know the different modes for premium payments. The surrender charge period is only 10 years. There aren't many companies that have policies that have a 10-year surrender period. Again, and something else that makes your prospect feel more comfortable in dealing with American National. Okay, we've talked about so far American National being very competitive. This tells you exactly where the hot spots are for the signature GUL. Now, this uses a $500,000 policy. You're going to find very similar results regardless of the size of the death benefit. The areas that are going to be most competitive are over 20, and up to age 55 or 60. Those are the hot spots. You see areas where they're number 1. You see lots of areas where they're number 2. A few where they're number 3 or number 4. That's the age that are going to be most receptive, most targeted for the most competitive prices. And this is against hundreds of other companies out there. Some of those companies aren't rated as high as American National. Some of these companies don't have the ABRs or all of the ABRs. Almost all of these companies do not have the guaranteed cash out rider. So you're beginning to see now why American National is one of the most front-running, attractive companies with their products that exist in the market today. Okay, some top reasons to sell, just as kind of a review. The signature GUL with Anico. Flexible guaranteed death benefits. You can dial in what the client feels most comfortable with. Guaranteed access to cash in the 15th, 20th, 25th year if they need to bail out. Very competitive premiums from age 20 to age 65. Term conversions. If you have a term policy with American National, you can convert to the signature GUL. You can convert anytime to any permanent policy that American National has. And right now, the signature GUL is their top product. Right behind that would be the index GULs, which you can also convert the term policies to. Again, the best accelerated benefit riders that you're going to find in the market. If a premium is up to 30 days late, is considered received on the due date. So it's a contractual late payment feature that very few other companies have. Easy to run illustrations. You can do that on their website. You can ask the Messer folks to help you with it. You can run it on several different platforms. WinFlex is one. There's several others. It can be run on Pipeline if you work with Pipeline. So again, you've got tremendous support from the home office and from Messer. Now, we're going to talk about briefly the term portfolio. There's several features that stand out. They have annually renewable term. Very, very few companies offer that anymore. That means if somebody has a short need to have life insurance, to cover an automobile loan, to cover a business loan, whatever it may be, lots of things, to cover a home equity loan for a short period of time. The ART and the 10, 15, 20 year and 30-year policies, you have the issue ages for each one. These are also, if it's $250,000 or lower, you're going to have the Term Express, our signature Term Express, which means no paramedical exam, no APS. Again, when it's $250 and below, it's going to be standard. If you have a client that you feel will be preferred or preferred plus or preferred best, you may want to look at another company for full underwriting, because, you know, if you keep a policy for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, getting back the policy in 5 days versus getting it back in 4 weeks or 5 weeks, it doesn't matter much if your premium is going to be substantially less. So again, to be fair to your clients, if you do feel like they're preferred or better, you might need to look at another company. Okay, here are the issue ages for each of the different policies. You do have, for anything over $250,000, you have 4 non-tobacco underwriting classes. You have substandard tables up to table 8. If you have a nicotine user, they're going to be either standard tobacco or preferred tobacco. Here are just a couple, and I can give you many, many, many more examples of how competitive the term portfolio is with American National. It's exactly the same as well with the signature GUL. If you want some more examples, I'll give those to you. They're also extremely competitive in the market. But the term policies, you can see here, compared to some of the more favorable brokerage companies, very competitive companies. I guess Banner is normally considered one of the top most competitive companies that's out there on a consistent basis. American General, Transamerica sometimes, North American, some others there. You see how Anico stacks up. And I didn't just choose a 20-year and this amount and the age and the male and so forth. These are nicotine rates to show you how competitive they are on nicotine, as well as they are for non-nicotine. This is a female for a $500,000 policy. And again, you see how American National stacks up. It's across the board that way if you're looking at ages older than 20 and less than 65. The ART, the annually renewable term, is obviously going to be the lowest premium. Each year is going to increase. However, if you have someone that only has a 2 or 3 or 4 year need for insurance, this is a perfect policy. Now, what happens if someone wants to convert that? You can actually convert a term to a term with American National with no questions asked, no health questions asked. You can convert to a 20-year term or 30-year term. There is no conversion credit on the ART, but there's no health questions asked. So you've got some very flexible conversion privileges with American National. You can convert to any of their permanent policies, as I mentioned earlier. Unlike some companies that really have specified policies are the only ones you can convert to, and they're really dogs that you would never sell. They're not competitive. Again, this is peace of mind for someone that has a term policy, knowing that if and when they want to convert, they can convert an ART to any other term, a 20 and 30-year term, or they can convert an ART or any other term to any permanent product that's on the books. With the ABRs, with the cash out rider, with the guarantees, with the $250,000 and below express underwriting, American National is the competition. Seriously. Now, I work with lots of companies, but it's very hard to find someone that falls in a niche that American National is not going to be the best choice for. The ABRs are the best in the business. There's 16 triggers that we're going to look at in just a second. Some of this we've already talked about. I will talk about the partial acceleration. Many companies on their ABRs, when the company tells you how much you qualify for, because they're accelerating a death benefit, first of all. The death benefit and the premium was set up with a certain amount of time involved with the person's expected longevity. If they pay out that benefit earlier than anticipated, then there's going to be a reduction in the amount that comes out, as well as the severity of the health issue that qualifies someone for the ABR. It may be mild, moderate, or severe. So depending on how much that health issue affects the longevity and how old that person is and how long the policy's been in force, that's going to determine how much of that death benefit would be available. There is no yearly cap. When someone qualifies, someone can take the maximum amount or some percentage of that amount. It can happen multiple times in a year. If someone has something that happens, or if it gets worse, or if they choose a lower percentage and want a higher percentage, you can apply as many times as you wish. The only problem is there will be a $500 fee each time a claim is paid. So you don't want to be doing it 6 times a year. These living benefits help you sell life insurance, because it's not just life insurance and pays a death benefit when somebody dies. You've got these other options that we've mentioned. It will give flexibility to someone, to some family, to make a choice. Is it better to wait until the insured dies, which after a heart attack, stroke, cancer, etc., may be 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, it may be a normal lifespan. I'm a cancer survivor. I may live a normal lifespan. I expect to. I hope to. I'm optimistic to. Many people have a heart attack and recover, for example. This gives them the opportunity to say, do we need this money now, or are we going to wait and get this money 5, 10, 20, 30 years down the road? It gives options. Again, there are no additional premiums for these benefits. You know the ABRs. Most of you are involved in health insurance. Here are the 16 critical illnesses that are covered by the critical illness ABR on both the term and the UL policies with American National. You will not find any other company that offers more. You might find one other company that offers just about the same number, but this is one of the reasons why American National has the best critical illnesses that are available in the market. Terminal illness, 24 months. Most companies limit that to 12 months. Available on all classes or even substandard policies. No waiting period. For the chronic illness, there's going to be a 90-day waiting period, as most people even choose on a traditional long-term care policy. Critical illness, the claims won't be processed until at least 30 days after the qualifying event, and the amount is determined. And, of course, there's going to be no benefit paid for a critical illness that occurs before a policy is issued. There is a conversion credit if someone converts a policy other than the ART to another term. There is a 1-year credit for the policyholder when that person moves from a term policy to a UL policy. The conversion credit is not commissionable. There's where you take a little bite, but you're going to get the commission paid on everything above the term credit. Again, with Anico, a term policy can convert to any permanent policy. The conversion option will expire when the term policy expires, or the 65th birthday, but no less than 5 years for someone who starts a term policy at an older age. So to review the term package, there are 5 choices: the ART, 5, 10, 15, 20, and 30. For policies $250,000 and below, you do get the Underwriting Express. They do have the accelerated benefit riders called the living benefits. You can take all that you're offered or part of it, retain the rest of it as an ongoing death benefit. You can convert an ART to another term policy. You get a conversion credit when you go term to permanent, and the rates, as you have seen, are extremely competitive. Okay, we're about ready to wind up, but I do want to mention the indexed UL policies that American National offers. We don't have time to go into these fully. If you will trust me, I will tell you that both of the indexed policies are extremely competitively priced. They have higher caps than some companies do. They have some benefits that some companies don't. There are lots of reasons to have an indexed UL: to accumulate cash for any number of reasons, to supplement retirement income, pay off a mortgage early, help a kid go to college, lots of things for tax-free income. And there aren't many places today where you can find tax-free income. These policies do have those living benefits that we've mentioned. They have 4 different index choices that we won't go into, but the cap is 14%. They do pay 4% on their fixed rate. The Signature Plus Index annuity is policy is almost the same. Life policy is almost the same, but it offers a little boost. Now, it's just as competitive, but the target commission is a little lower because it offers an interest rate of 1% after 10 years above whatever the rate is for the index choice chosen. For example, if let's say the S&P did 16% 1 year, but the cap is 12, you only get 12. The 1% enhancement doesn't come into play. But let's say that the S&P has a bad year and loses 4%, that would otherwise be 0. But if the policy's been in force for 10 years, you get a 1-point credit. Now, if you look at the S&P history, you know that they're going to be an average of 2 or 3 years every 10 years two or three out of every 10 years, there's going to be a loss or a flat. You're still going to get that 1 point and not zeros. Again, helps out in the accumulation, a little bit of peace of mind. It might be worth sacrificing a little bit of commission to give someone that edge. And this is an edge that American National has with the plus indexed life policy. There are other benefits that we don't have time to go into today, but that 1% enhancement does improve the distribution if someone is accumulating cash for any of those reasons I mentioned earlier. It makes it also extremely competitive when you compare it to other companies with their indexed life policies. Okay, last of all, American National does have a whole life policy. It is participating. It pays dividends. It does have a low minimum face of $10,000. It has lots of riders for a family plan. Sometimes you're going to be working with families with their health insurance, and this is what they need if they're looking for final expense or just a small amount to get their children covered. You have all of the dividend options in the policies you would with any whole life policy that has dividends. And again, it's very competitively priced. It does have the living benefits that gives it a competitive edge. Okay, I have completed a tour through the products that American National has. You can tell that my favorites are the Signature Guaranteed UL, because most people want guarantees now, and the Term Portfolio. All of these policies have those living benefits which people also are very much interested in and very attractive. I know I've probably created hopefully some interest, some curiosity, some excitement, why American National should be one of your top companies for all of the reasons I've given you today. You've seen the reasons why it's one of my top companies, and like anything else you get used to, the more you work with them, the more you will like them and become familiar with them, their processes, their forms, their personnel, their policies, and the more you're going to like it. Thank you for your time. Now, I'm going to turn this back over to Mark, and I will try to answer the questions that you all have. Thank you for your attention. Mark?
Yes, Bob, thank you very much for a wonderful presentation of information. I think also, as you mentioned in the end, obvious to see where the favorites are. Many times when we have a presentation, they'll start with the basic term products and move into the ULs. But a great way to start, show them the guaranteed product. Again, as agents, it comes into effect at times we do need to find that non-med product. Just because the client might be away from the area, traveling, might be hesitant to want to do needles. Could be a number of things, but knowing that we've got great products out there from Anico, American National, again, on the non-med basis, knowing that we have an extremely nice benefit in the cash-out rider that, again, is not going to be available for the majority of carriers. Certainly gives you the one up there. Looking at the way that cash is out, those type of questions we can always handle as you find a client in a need so that we can help you there. But again, know that you can go back to the Messer website, go to our agent resources, open up the drop-down box at the agent resource window. You'll find the Messer Learning Center. Open up the Learning Center, and you'll find this entire presentation recorded, and they're available for your review probably sometime tomorrow. Of course, that'll be great for you as an agent, but if you have other associates who weren't able to attend today, let them know that it's out there so that they can get on there and take a look at it. Then, of course, with the living benefits, everyone is becoming more and more aware that this is what it's going to take today to get out into that marketplace. If you do not have that competitive edge with your product, it's going to be much more difficult to sell those life products. The fact that we have an annually renewable term, again, very unique, very difficult to find for most carriers. The conversion benefits are wonderful, and the fact that those conversion benefits will also be available to them to permanent products. Again, Bob gave us a soft touch on the index product and on the whole life, the whole life products as well. And just a brief point on the whole life, that you can go down as low as that 10K, which is also important, as well as being able to go down to as low as 25K on the, was that on the term? Or no, that was on the guaranteed UL products. So you want that benefit too. Again, thank you for hanging in there with us, and because of that, we do have a bonus for you. That bonus would be based on your first application being processed within the next 30 days, provided, of course, you're one of the registered attendees, which you will be. And that will be $100 on top of the commission that you would have received basically on the sale. And also, make sure you take advantage of our tool, and that is for the contracting again on the Messer website. Again, under the drop-down for agent resources, you'll find our contracting link. You'll be able to go on there and begin your contracting for the American National Insurance Company. So go ahead and get that started in advance so you're not trying to play catch-up. And also important to know, Messer will be having our expo here in September in the Charlotte area on the 11th and 12th. And again, Anico will be represented. They will have their booth. They'll be there to answer questions. And they'll also be doing a presentation once again if you want to bring in some more people to get familiar with the products. Bob, I think you did an excellent job because we don't have any questions.
That can mean one of two things. Either they weren't interested, or I did a great job. Let's hope it leans more to the latter.
Well, actually, two questions just popped up. First one
Good.
being whole life product. They wanted to know what the age range was on that product.
Actually, the age range is 0 to 75.
Great. Okay. And then the second question that came up was, did you say that the term product with the living benefits at the preferred or preferred plus underwriting rating for over $250,000 is not as competitive as to other carriers? That was a mouthful.
No, I didn't say that. Actually, Mark, their term, which is fully underwritten, not the underwriting express, which is $250,000, above $250,000, is also very competitive across the board. Absolutely.
Okay, so William, there's your answer. Get out there and take advantage of that. And Anthony, I'm sure you were asking to make sure you could take care of some of those younger cases. Again, Bob, my thanks again for the professional and information session you brought to us. And everyone, again, thank you very much. We'll look forward to you joining us next Wednesday as we again take on another carrier, another group of products, and an ability to enhance your arsenal as you go out after that life business. Thank you all. Mark Hunter and Bob Long signing off.
Thank you, Mark. Bye-bye.
Bye.